All right, here we go. Welcome back to World History with Mr. Roberts. And today we're going to continue our discussion about totalitarian dictators with Adolf Hitler. First off, let's take a look at post-World War I Germany. After signing the Treaty of Versailles in 1919, German leaders drafted a constitution in the city of Weimar. This created a democratic government known as the Weimar Republic. The constitution that was drawn up set up a parliamentary system led by a chancellor. It gave women the right to vote, and it also included a Bill of Rights. From the very beginning, the Weimar Republic was weak due to its multiple political parties and social division. The government was led by the Democratic Socialists. The Communists in Germany demanded social change, and the Conservative Party within Germany frequently verbally attacked the government for being too weak. They really wanted a strong leader to come about, much like Otto von Bismarck was. Most Germans also blamed the Weimar Republic for the signing of the Treaty of Versailles. And as we talked about previously, the Treaty of Versailles was very harsh to the German people, especially with the amount of war reparations that they were required to pay. Economic ruin continued to feed the social unrest in Germany. In 1923, Germany fell behind in their reparation payments to France. To compensate for this loss, France decided to take control of the coal-rich Ruhr Valley. In protest, coal workers, the German coal workers, refused to work, but the government continued to pay them and printed a huge quantity of paper money. Inflation spiraled out of control. By 1923, something that normally would have cost 100 marks cost nearly 1 million marks. And this is extreme inflation. This happens when governments print new money without destroying old money. We've seen inflation in this country, not necessarily to this proportion, but we have seen inflation. You may hear your parents or grandparents talk about how a Coke used to cost maybe a nickel or a dime, and now it is over $1. Same thing in my lifetime with gasoline. When I first started driving, gas was under $1. It was about 96 cents, and now it is about $1.96. So we have definitely seen inflation even recently. In 1924, the U.S. gained British and French approval to reduce German reparations. American loans helped the German economy to recover. Also remember from our previous discussions that this is one of the reasons that America was thrown into the Great Depression, giving out too many loans. These private banks were giving out too many loans, and they weren't able to give the people's money back because not only were the Germans not paying their money back, Americans were also taking out additional loans that they were not able to pay as well. So the rise of Hitler. In 1923, Adolf Hitler tried to follow Mussolini's example by staging a coup in Munich. When the coup failed, Hitler was thrown in jail, and he wrote Mein Kampf. Translates to My Struggle. This is where he outlines his plans to take care of the Jewish problem. He talks about racial purity and impurity and who should be, kept, and the master race, and all of this ideology that Hitler spreads throughout his reign. Hitler spent less than a year in prison, and after his release, he once again continued to fight for political change. The Great Depression helped the Nazi Party to gain more followers, and by the early 1930s, it reached nearly 1 million members. Hitler promised to end reparations for good. He also promised to create jobs and defy the Treaty of Versailles by rearming Germany. For many, they looked to Hitler as the strong leader that they've been looking for. They really compared him to Otto von Bismarck, to have the guts to stand up to the rest of the world and say, we are no longer going to abide by these unfair war reparations, and we are going to build our nation up to the best it can be. With the government paralyzed by division, both the Nazis and communists won more seats in the Reichstag. The Reichstag is the lower house of legislation. So fearing a communist takeover in the Reichstag, the Conservative Party appointed Hitler Chancellor of Germany. in 1933 under the Weimar Constitution. They did this because they really thought Hitler was somebody that they could influence, and they didn't think of him as a threat. So they thought, okay, this Hitler over here, who is leader of the Nazi Party or a prominent figure in the Nazi Party, we'll appoint him. He's not that big of a threat. He's kind of a goofball, and we'll be able to control him and tell him what to do. Well, as we know, that wasn't exactly what happened. Once Chancellor, Hitler legally suspended civil rights. He disbanded all other political parties and executed fellow Nazis that he saw as disloyal. This became known as the Night of the Long Knives. It happened in 1934. This is something that Hitler does in secret at night. Obviously, he has some of his followers go out and do these executions. He claims that it was only 40. Ends up being a couple to several hundred, actually, that they take care of during the Night of the Long Knives. And he admits to this publicly, but once again, his figure is much lower than the actual number of people that were murdered. Within a year of becoming chancellor, Hitler was dictator of Germany. Hitler and the Nazis worked to build a new Germany built from the ashes of the pre-World War I empire and with the bricks of nationalism. Under Hitler's new Third Reich, the German master race would dominate Europe for 1,000 years, so they thought. Just like Stalin and Mussolini, Hitler uses the secret police, or the Gestapo in Germany, to enforce his totalitarian rule. Nazis controlled all aspects of German life. This included education and also included religion. So unlike communism, where the official religion of communism is atheism or no religion, the Nazis did have a religion. It was deeply rooted in the occult, and it was kind of a mixture of whatever they thought sounded good. A little crazy, but they did have a religion. In his fanatical anti-Semitism, Hitler was determined to drive the Jews out of Germany. In 1935, the Nazi Party passed the Nuremberg Laws. This stripped Jews of German citizenship and placed other severe social restrictions on them. On November 9th through the 10th of 1938, Nazi-led mobs attacked Jewish communities all over Germany, Austria, and Czechoslovakia. By the way, at this point in 1938, obviously the Nazis and Hitler have annexed Czechoslovakia. We'll talk more about that later when we get into the ins and outs of World War II. This became known as Kristallnacht, or the Night of Broken Glass. To build the future of German culture, the Nazis indoctrinated young students with their ideology through the Hitler Youth Program. You can see over here to the right of the screen, over here, that there's a picture of some of the female Hitler Youth. Hitler and the Nazis also wished to purge or purify German culture. This was accomplished by denouncing modern art, jazz music, and Christianity. They thought that modern art was too influenced by the Jewish culture. Jazz music was obviously influenced by African culture, which they thought is inferior, and Christianity just didn't fit with their ideas. Furthermore, Hitler began to purge all humans seen as unfit. The unfit included Jews, the mentally and physically handicapped, and homosexuals. So, here's your question of the day. What racial and nationalistic ideas did Nazis promote? As always, hope you took notes, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in class.